Welcome to Cindy's channel, Whispers from the Dark. My name is Donna. What you're about to hear is my true story of reincarnation. It has taken many years to gain confidence to tell you my story, as I don't want others to judge or ridicule me. Please hit that like button, and if you enjoy stories of the paranormal, please subscribe for this channel, and remember, you're not alone. I would like to say a special thank you to Cindy for reading my experiences. Her compassion and kindness is beyond words. Why I contacted her is because we both have had similar experiences. Now, sit back, grab a cup of tea or coffee, and let's begin. My past life recall. My name's Donna. I remembered my past life in 1980. I was 6 years old at the time, and I was at primary school when it happened. I remember when I was at school, we were going to a room with some steps, and we were going down, and all of a sudden I had flashbacks, which I didn't understand at the time. I was only 6 years old. I was suddenly thrown back in time, and I shall now tell you what I experienced back then. I was on a train, and the train wasn't like trains of today. They were like wooden carriages, and they had slits right up at the top. It was very dark. We were all packed in the trains, in the carriages, like sardines at the time. I can remember that there was loads of us. We didn't have food, we didn't have water. The only sunlight we had was through that slit at the top of the train. I can then remember the train suddenly stopping all of a sudden, and the doors flung open by force. There was these men that were speaking another language. I could speak another language, which I didn't understand at the time. And they all had uniform, and they ordered all of us to leave, get out. I was with my husband at the time. We were newlyweds. I was in my 20s. I had long dark hair. I was very, very skinny, and I can remember having a wedding band on my finger. They forced us apart, and I was in a right state, screaming. My heart was absolutely breaking. I didn't want him to leave me because I knew what was coming. There was whispers in Warsaw that there was a place where they would kill people by gas. When they forced us out, we all had to go into groups. So the elderly, women, children, people that were handicapped would go in one group. The other group would be young men, or men that are fit, that look fit, or something on those lines. The guards, one by one, they got us to queue up, and there was a doctor, and there was one big guard or something like that with a uniform, and they were telling us to move forward. They were checking us over, and all I can remember was someone tried to escape and they got shot. We were absolutely terrified. Well, that's an understatement. We felt like the forgotten race that the outside world didn't want to know. And we were alone. I can remember a room before the walk. It was like a changing room, but I can't remember getting changed. It could be maybe it was too traumatic. I can't remember. What was in there? Well, it was like a normal room with pegs and stuff to put your clothes on. What else can I remember? Yeah, I mean, coming out of there, I tried to hide the ring, my wedding band, in my mouth. And the guards basically knew. They must have watched me do it. They grabbed my cheeks and they squeezed them so hard to open my mouth. And then they grabbed the ring and then they hit me. They then told us that we had to go outside and we had to be cleaned, deliced, and that there was a shower room to delice us because we weren't clean. So when we were walking outside, I can remember the building to the right of me, a row of trees to the left of me, and in front of me. I'm not too sure if it was behind me. I'm not too sure with the trees. There was guards right near the building with guns. There was guards on the other side of the path so we wouldn't escape. And they kept saying, move forward. You know, you need to be deliced. You need to have a shower. You need to be cleaned. And it got to the point where I was so frustrated and angry because of what I heard. And I said, you want to kill us, don't you? And they said, where did you hear that? And I didn't say anything. And the nearer I got to the door, I started to panic. And then I really started to scream this out. One of the guards decided to whack me with the end of a gun or rifle. I think it was a rifle. And then he pushed me down the stairs. Entering the room, I was totally frozen in fear. I seen all these people in this big room, and I glanced up and there was this shower head or hole. I can't remember exactly because I can't remember everything in detail, only snippets. And I started telling people what was going to happen because of what I heard. A lot of people ignored me. Anyway, the doors slammed. Now, there was women with children and they were cuddling their children, these women, and they were singing hymns. There was others that were praying, others that were crying, others that were hurting themselves by whacking their heads with their hands. And then what everyone thought was going to be water, there was this mist gas coming out from the top. Everyone started to panic because the doors by this point was slammed shut. And there was this big surge forward with everyone because everyone started to panic. It's like a stampede. That's the best way to really describe it. I can remember I was absolutely frozen in fear by this point. After a while, bodies started falling. And I don't know if it was the gas, but I was really disorientated and confused. I was looking up at this hole or shower head and I was thinking, if I get there, I'll be able to breathe. There's air that's coming out of there. So I started climbing over the dead bodies to get to this air, or what I thought was air. The more I climbed, the more weaker I felt. And it got to the point where I started feeling sick and dizzy, and my legs were weak as anything. And then I just collapsed right near the top, looking up. And all of a sudden, everything went black. Everything went black. And then there was this beautiful white light that surrounded me and others. And I thought, oh no, I've died, haven't I? I better go to the light, which I did. And then I went to spirit. After this, I came back to the present day in 1980, being a 6-year-old, totally confused and bewildered. And I ended up telling my friend because I was so confused. And she couldn't make sense of it either. And it was only years later, in a history class, when I was about 14, 15 years old, when we were covering the Second World War, that it was Auschwitz. And I put up my hand and I said to my teacher at the time what happened, and he said, look, I need you to stay after class so I can have a chat with you. So I did do it. I honestly thought I was going to be told off, and I told him everything. And he said, how do you know? He said, you know, I mean, I visited there, and where you're telling me is the bunker that got blown up in the Second World War. The gas chamber that, that got bombed. And I said, it's because I lived there. Well, I didn't live there, but I lived in that time and I died there. He absolutely looked horrified, and the colour from his face just turned a deathly pale colour. And he said, I think you're right. I think you did live back in World War II and died in Auschwitz. He was very, very sweet. But for years I had many questions. And it's only recently I've came to terms with it. But I just thought you should know. Thank you.